purpose of today is to talk about the final check. May I ask, do you have any idea what I mean by the final check?
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's a final check before you leave the property to make sure that everything's okay.
Absolutely spot on. Now,
Kirsty, you can't do this. We need to see your face.
Don't push her. We're lucky to have her here.
Yes.
We'll be thankful for that. So yeah, the final check is exactly that. And I'd like you to think about this question and be really honest with yourself. How often, if you can think about your last 5 cleans, I'd like you to then now think about how many out of the last 5 cleans did you do a final check? I'm not getting you into trouble here. I just interested in knowing how many times out of the last 5 times do you think you did a proper final check?
I don't think I have, if honest. I haven't had the time. It's been like such a tight deadline to finish that I haven't got that time for them to go around check before I have to get in the car and zoom off to the next one.
And you often do 3 houses in a day at the moment, don't you? 3 properties.
Yeah, those days I don't get to check at all. Although I do really desperately try at one particular.
Which one? Which one? I know what you mean. Let's not say any names, but yes, I know the Wednesday one.
Yeah.
And what about so Kirsty, how many times do you think you've managed to do a final check in your last 5 houses?
It depends who it is and what house I'm at. I mean, I try to final check all the properties, but sometimes you run out of time, so it's a bit like I try and check as I go. So if I've done one room, then I come back to it. If I see something, then I'll change it. Then I'll sort of go somewhere else. And then once I finish the house, I've only got a couple of rooms to check by then.
I like that. That's clever. Very, very smart.
But I also ask the clients also to check, just to give you feedback on good and bad stuff as well. So there could be things that I thought I've not missed, and then they've gone to go and have a look, and then they've been like, well, there's a smear there, or there's something that's not quite right there. So I try to as much as I can.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Who else is here? Geralda, I'd be interested in you. How many times do you think you do a final check?
I mostly do it at Ned's.
Yes.
But at the other 2, I don't really have that much time. But at Ned's I do, because he's got a habit of leaving everywhere open, so I have to double check, even if I don't want to, because everywhere is open, so you need to close it all before you leave, especially when it's like this kind of weather.
Oh, she's frozen.
So sorry, so can I just check what you just said there, Geralda? That you mentioned I just had a phone call come in. That was very annoying. Sorry about that. So you do your final check at Ned's mainly because he leaves the doors open, did you say?
He leaves everywhere open, all the windows and everything, and he's already had 2 windows smashed with the wind and rain.
Wow.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Is that because the doors are left open?
He leaves the back door open. I realised the other week, so I locked it, and I told him that I've locked it. He leaves all the windows open, and then he goes off to London. He doesn't tell me. I turn up, and the house is all open and no Ned. And then when I text him, oh, I'm in London. I won't see you this week. I'll see you next week. I say, oh, okay then. So I start closing all the windows. You have to double check at Ned's.
That's brilliant. So for security reasons, you do a double check as well?
Yeah, for Ned's
very
I do,
good.
yeah.
That's very, very important, especially with people that, don't always live at their residence. Very interesting. Thank you. Angela, Josh, is Josh there just to translate if we need to?
Yeah.
Thank you. How often do you manage to do a final check?
Pag yung pag walang tao,
She's saying like if there's no one around, because sometimes they leave her on her own.
Then hindi ako umalis
Then
kapag wala ako.
she won't just leave straight away, checking if all the doors, all the windows
Tsaka
are closed.
nagpapaalam ako.
And then if they're around, they sort of like she lets them know that she's leaving, and then obviously they know that she's coming out. You get me? Like sort of just to say, I'm leaving now, like I'm going, sort of thing, and just to say like bye bye or something.
Oh, that's lovely. So again, it's also from a client, you know, caring for the client so they know that you've left the property. That's a really lovely way of doing it. So what I want to cover today is the fact is doing a final check is an absolute irritant. Is what I want you to know. I know how difficult it is to do a final check. That's what I want to say, because you are under such pressure with time. I can't think of a house where I don't feel under some sort of pressure. So what we have to do is, as a business, I feel, I wanted to bring this up because I wanted to share with you the other day I cleaned a property. It was a very big property, a 5-bedroom holiday let. And I was absolutely certain that I had done everything perfectly, but I made myself do the final check. And I'd like to share with you what I'd missed. And this was a holiday let. On 2 beds, I had missed the towels, putting the towels on the beds. On one of them, I had the joint toilet, I had missed putting a toilet roll out. And I also found smudges on front of the dishwasher. And I also had found that I had forgotten to put back one of the drains in the shower. So this is me thinking I was absolutely perfect. I would have sworn on my life that that house was perfect before I did the final check. And this is why I want to bring this up, which is that I feel as a business, we need to build in the time to do the final check. I would like to fight for that possibility, even if it means we don't do so much in the house. Because what it does mean is then we can then say, we can do the final finishing touches and make things beautiful, but also to manage the expectations of the client, to let them know what we hadn't managed to do that week, and that we might prioritize it the next week if that's what they would like. So if you are, for example, we always talk about, if you're in an aeroplane, before the pilot will always do a check before he will embark on the journey. And there's a very good reason for that, which is that because we are human, unless we follow some checks, what often happens is that we will forget things without even knowing. It's like, when you drive maybe you drive in the morning to work. Sometimes I don't know how I got there, but I got there.
I do that
Scary.
Yeah. So we are
Very scary.
It is very scary, and you can swear. So we do go on automatic, and therefore, as we are humans, we will definitely forget things. And we will miss things. We will actually think we've done them when we actually haven't. So what I would like to propose is this. I would like to give you some tips today on what to check. Just 3 things in each room when you go and do your final check. And these are the 3 things that each room that I have discovered people get most upset about if they are missed. So do you think that would be quite helpful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I have been in the cleaning business for over 20 years, and these are the things that upset people most if they're not done. So what I would like to propose is that over these next couple of weeks, if you could just make a note of these things and try and check just these things simply after a house, I think it will make such a difference to your client's experience. And by the way, we are the best at what we do. We really are the elite. That's why we're called the elite team. We are really, really good. So this isn't me trying to pick at your, service standards. It's me going, hey, I know we're all human. And because we're the best, we're going to check these little things. And I'd like to give it a go and then revisit this maybe in 2 weeks' time and see how it went.
And the handles of the cupboards.
Who's just said that?
Kelly.
Hello, Kelly. Absolutely spot on. You will not believe the amount of people that will complain if they haven't had the fronts of their cupboards wiped down. And it can be just like some coffee spilt or something. So I know it sounds strange, but that is one of the things that really get people if it's not done.
And the little ledge on the cupboard as well. Sorry to interrupt you. There's a little, sometimes on some cupboards, they're not all flat. There's like a little ledge and that can gather dust and that can build up, I find.
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely spot on. Look out for that. And I put my finger in and then just push the cloth in. Is that what you do? Like really get into those grooves. So always scan the fronts of the cupboards, and it may be just 1 or 2 marks, but I tell you, you just buff those 2 marks up at the end of your clean. It will make all the difference. So cupboard fronts. Then someone else mentioned the sink. Who mentioned the sink?
Yeah,
I mentioned
sink.
Did you mention the sink, Angela? Because this is a really big thing. A lot of us will clean the whole kitchen brilliantly and then leave the sink at the end. Or I've had some people put the dirty water off the mop down the sink
and
after
the plug.
And it's just like, no. But anyway, always scrub the inside of the sink. You can use the cream, the Scour cream. You can use a Brillo pad in there. Some people use bleach. Some people, on an eco-friendly, just use washing up liquid and really scrub it out. Astonish paste is really good natural way of cleaning the inside sinks, but always clean the inside and the plug. Turn the plug upside down, and make sure that plug underneath looks spotless. Yeah. Brilliant. And then the other thing is, and this is why I always say we do these things, it was cleaning out the toaster and the coffee machine. For some reason, if they don't get done, clients get upset. So it's these 3 things. If you could just check these 3 things every time you clean a kitchen, it would be fabulous. And the X factor, what do you think gives the X factor in a kitchen?
The way you display things and finish it, like the handles and kettle and things like that, in a certain way. And just, I think the display of things.
Absolutely. But what gives the X factor is you move the items.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. So
clean behind them.
Clean it behind, underneath, yeah,
and then put them back exactly as you said. So everything looks like it's been cleaned on the outside and it's been ordered. If I tell you what a lot of people forget is, where people have the chopping boards, a lot of cleaners just won't bother moving the chopping boards, and behind there's always crumbs. So that's what will give you the X factor. If you could do, like in the bathroom, the presentation, clean outside things and put them in high order, labels at the front, so if you've got the tea, coffee, sugar, have the writing facing you. This may sound really obvious, but it's so easy not to do, and when you do it, it makes such a massive difference. So those are the 2 things. We've talked about kitchens and bathrooms. And the next thing we're going to do is talk about bedrooms. I want you guys again to guess, what are the 3 most important things that you think clients might check in the bedroom?
Under the bed.
Yeah.
Very good. What people will do is they will put dirty tissues under there to check that you've actually hoovered under the bed, or they might
inside the bed,
or
Behind
inside
the cabinet, behind the side cabinet.
I've had that before.
Yeah, you had that, Kirsty, the other day, didn't you?
Yeah.
And hairs and things. So
Yeah.
you know, you're absolutely right. Checking under the bed is really important because they want to see that you've done a good hoover. Yeah, you have to be very discreet as well. You might find things under the bed that you really would rather not see. But you don't tidy them, those things. You leave them, but you hoover around what you can to give them dignity. So bedrooms, that's absolutely right. What's the next two things?
Hoover, so that they actually had a good. Oh no, we said under the bed with the hoovering. Sorry. Yeah.
Where else might they check?
In the wardrobe, the shelves, places where in the drawers. You know, like for instance, if it's a holiday let, you want to make sure that the cupboards are sort of nice and clean, and the mirror, if there's a mirror inside the wardrobe, that's been buffed up and looks clean.
Really good point. I'm actually gonna those things are important, but one of the things that will be checked most will be behind the bedside cabinets.
Yes.
And the skirting boards behind the bedside cabinets. You wouldn't believe the amount of clients that will mention that to me if it's not done. So that's again number 2. And then number 3, in a bedroom, funnily enough, is the inside window frames. Because what you get in a bedroom is lots of condensation overnight, and especially if they don't necessarily open the window, and you often get little bits of mold or little bits of condensation, and it builds up after a while and doesn't look very nice. So that's something else that is regularly complained about if it's not done. So you've got the 3 things in the bedroom. You've got under the beds, behind the cabinets, bedside cabinets, and then the inside window frames. What do you think makes the X factor in a bedroom if you do it?
The bed, the presentation. If you make the bed nice, and it's the presentation.
Spot on. Invest in your bed making skills. I have done a blog on bed making recently, which I quite like. But I think I've taught most of you how to do the pillows so that they're kissing each other in the middle. So you've got the folds in the middle. They're upright. The pillows are beautifully plumped up. You can look at Kelly's pictures. She does them what I call kung fu style, which is the way they do them in the hotels, where they've got the nice little tucks in the sides and at the top. Some pillows you can't do that with, but it's like beautifully folding the throws, making sure you've got layers with the throws if you can. Do the best you can, but straighten the bed out and straighten the sheet out so that when they get into the bed, there's no hairs on there and it's lovely and straight. It feels like coming into a hotel. So that is what gives a bedroom the X factor, okay?
I've got some today. Sorry,
please, I want to hear you. Go.
I've got 3 beds that needed doing today, but they was looking quite bad. So I've got before and afters to send to see.
Have you?
I've done them okay.
Thank you, because I really do look at these pictures, guys, when you send them, because you all have your own style as well, and we can pick and take little bits. You know, we can pick and take bits from each other.
Sorry. I was saying you get inspiration from everybody else's styles as well. You pick up different tips.
You do. And, you know, bed making sometimes can be really tricky if the duvet's all bumpy and, you know, you have to learn how to make the best of what is there. And it really does give the client the X factor. How many times I come in, you know, and see messages from clients going, "You've just made the bed look so beautiful. I want to go in there." You know, it's just fantastic. And finally, now we're talking about the living room. Now, stroke dining room. What do you think of the 3 things that will be picked up on if they haven't been done?
Under the table.
Table.
Dining room.
I absolutely love what you're saying, and it's so strange because it is actually one of the biggest problems we have, because when people are in a rush, we quickly hoover around the chairs and don't move the chairs and hoover under the chairs, and that's because we're often in a rush. But it is one of the things that need to be done and are picked up on so much. The other thing is the chairs. Yeah. So, you know, when you pull the chair out and if there's lots of crumbs on there, it really spoils the experience of the house clean. And the other, say that again.
The legs of the chairs at the bottom where you put the all the dust that collects and the hairs.
That's what I was going to say too. That's a good one. That one I noticed a lot gets very dusty. Yeah.
Yeah, you get all those little sort of hairs stuck to the bottom, clumps almost, don't you? So yeah, that's spot on. And the other thing is that does get picked up on strangely, and it does, but you know, it does surprise me sometimes. But it's behind the TVs.
Oh, I said behind the curtain.
Yeah, you've got some. I know, Kirsty, you've got something about curtains, and I actually think we could put a lot more attention on behind curtains because the hairs get stuck, don't they?
Flies, especially if you're in an old house, you've got all flies and wasps and everything. Ladybirds seem to be the thing that I keep finding at the moment, but they all just clog up behind the curtains, and obviously when they move the curtains to shut them at night, they're going to see a bunch of dead flies. So yeah, I love
that. And you know what, I mean I'm a very experienced cleaner of 20 years, and I sometimes don't do that. It's really a good point. So we've talked about doing the curtains as well, and it's behind the TVs. You'll be surprised how much, you know, where the wires and the plugs go, and then the little crevices in the back of the TV. Just try and remember to do that, because it does get checked. And now I want you to think about what's the X factor. What can you do in a living room to make it look amazing?
Pump up the sofa and all the cushions.
Actually, you I saw you do that at not Madeline's. Yes, you did do it amazing there, but you also did a fantastic one on Ruth, what's her name? Ruth begins with R.
Rebecca?
No, okay, don't worry, sorry, I've just gone blank. But yeah, I've seen you do the pillows absolutely beautifully, and you know, it is one easy way to make a real big difference. Also, I just want to mention, and with living rooms and dining rooms, because I'm sort of grouping two rooms into one, I'm going to give you one more thing that does get complained about if it's not done. The last thing I'm going to give you, it's under the sofa cushions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does get checked. And if you're cleaning a house every day and you're with the same, just make sure it's done at least once a week, because the little crumbs get by, especially if there's kids, and they'll hide little kids' toys under there to check that you've actually done it. So, you know, that is a really important thing to do. But you're absolutely right. Plumping up pillows and folding up any throws and making them look beautiful on the sofa, it will give a room the X factor. So I'd like to wrap this up now. And I hope that the things that if we could just start by doing those things on a final check, even if you don't want to do it at the end, you want to do it like room by room, as you said, Kelly, I think. You can do it room by room. So, but you have to switch off. You have to sort of physically walk outside the room and then go, right, I'm doing the final check. Do you know what I mean? You can't.
If you're taking a photo, you suddenly get into the photo vibe and want it to look great for the photo. So that helped me with the final check I found today as well.
What fun. So yeah, it's just, so you want to prepare it for the photo shoot as such. And that gives you the intention. So what I'd like to leave you with is, maybe it would be more beneficial to make sure we do these final checks, even if it means finishing 10 minutes earlier and not doing so much of the clean. That's what I would like to challenge, because I think if we do those things that we've talked about today, I think it will increase the client satisfaction even more than what we already do, which is incredible. And I just really want to thank you guys so much for the amount of intention and care you put into your work every single day. And cleaning is not easy. Housekeeping is not easy, and all of you are just magical, wonderful human beings who make people's lives better, and you make spaces beautiful. And I can't thank you enough for everything you do every day. And I'm going to cry because I absolutely think you are magnificent in what you do. So maybe we can just have awareness on those little points and move forward in a positive way, the way only we do. So do you have any final questions before we shut down?
No, I'm all good, I think.
No? Do you think that can you take maybe one or two things away from this session that might just help in the future? Be honest with me if you feel that was just a waste of time, or if you feel that it wasn't relevant. You must say, because I need feedback as well.
I think, to be honest, with having the input and listening to other people's point of view, it gives you an insight to what everybody's got their own ideas, but right, for instance, looking behind curtains. Who looks behind curtains? The only reason we've started looking behind curtains is because this time of year you get like invites from insects and things like that. So we were checking for things like that. But, unless somebody suggests it, so not everybody would think of that, and looking behind beds as well, the headboards, how often would you pull the bed right out to check behind the bed? It's only when there's something that might be behind there that do you go looking, but it needs to be addressed, because this time of year, you do get like the odd, shall I say, the odd insect that you don't want, and it can be quite bad, really. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Insect time in the Cotswolds.
Yes.
A lot of fun there. Yeah, absolutely. And Kirsty, yeah. And yeah, I just want to know, do you think would you automatically look at those things that we mentioned today?
Not. I try to, but things like behind the TV and doing the wires, I sometimes do or can miss. But it's funny that you said that, because the other day at a house I realised and sort of taken it into account then. But lots of things, like when people have blinds as well that are always down, sometimes when you go to lift them up, there's like big cobwebs that are all sort of stuck together and stuff. So it's just like nitty gritty bits, isn't it, that no one wants to do. That's how I look at it. Like skirting boards are the first thing that I look at as soon as I enter into a room. And a house that I've done today, it was just thick dust on the skirting board sort of thing.
I think Kirsty, skirting boards is a biggie, and I like to make sure that we do them as we do the hoovering. So, when you do the hoovering, as part of that, do that with the ends. And I would like people to contact Alison if you don't have the right ends to your hoover, just to make sure that you can then do the skirting boards without scratching them and things like that.
Well, I'm not. Sorry, I normally, when I'm dusting, I just use the cloth that I'm dusting with to wipe them. That way I don't scratch them or anything, or
very good.
Tip
Very
paint.
good. But you're very agile. You're not like
that was very well put.
That was very well put.
I'm sure Vicky does that too, but a lot of us 50-year-olds, we 50 plus olds, we tend to use the end of the hoovers on it. But it could be good for our muscles actually to do that. So yeah, no, thank you so much, guys. But just if you could make a point to remember just to do those things that we've talked about today on top of everything else that you would normally do or as part of the focus, and just see how it works for you. And I will keep feeding back all the positive feedback that we get from our clients. We do get a lot, and I'm going to make a point of every time we get an acknowledgement, I am going to let you know, so that you can really just take that on board.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for today. Time out now. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, Serena. Bye.